Hello and welcome back to us. Well, welcome to Our Sisters Back. If I say welcome back to Our Sisters Back, ooh, I should be a rap artist. Okay, welcome back to our episode of Our Sisters Back. Today's topic is on friendships. We thought it would be really cool to talk about friendships, talk about, healthy friendships, unhealthy friendships, and also friendship building relationships type of thing. So I don't know if we'll get to all these topics, but we are here today to discuss friendships. So take it away, Kanation.
Hey, Ropa, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's funny, when I was thinking about this topic today, I was reflecting on our friendship. Do you remember how it started?
Yeah.
Take it away.
You want me to? Okay, so this is what happened. Here I am minding my own business. Okay, so we used to go to the same church, and I was that type of person who would go for the service and then just leave right away. Very antisocial, didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't care to talk to anybody. And I think Carnation was an usher or something.
Yeah, Miss Goody Two Shoes.
So ushering and whatever, and then I don't know how we gave each other numbers type of thing. I think you asked for my number or something like that. And then anyway, I go home. Then Carnation called me. She used to call me once in a while, but she would call me and then she would keep quiet. So she would be like, "Hi, Ropa, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" And then dead silence. And I'm like, why is she calling me? Why are you going to call somebody and not say anything and just be quiet? So then when she called me, then I started talking, because the dead side, I just thought, okay, fine, she's making an effort. Let me make an effort. So then I would start talking. So she would call me and then I would talk as if I'm the one that called, type of thing. So I think that's how it started. And then as time went on, then we would be competing to talk. Carnation would be like, "But Ropa, I'm the one that called." I'm like, "So," and then she's like, "Ropa, but I'm the one who called." But it started off like that. And I used to think, okay, why is she calling me? Why?
Actually, that story gets me all the time, because the details, that she described are very accurate. At that time, I was an usher. And it's funny that I was chasing and she was the one she was the one being chased and I was chasing. And she was thinking, okay, what does this kid want? Can't you just leave me alone? And then what I would do, even if I didn't see a church, I'd call, "Oh, Ropa, how are you? I didn't see your church today. I hope you're doing okay." And then I'd find a way, I guess, to pull her to stay for potlucks, when we're potlucks.
Lunch or whatever.
Yeah. And that actually, it's always interesting how people have different perspectives when it comes to some of the details of the beginning of their relationship, because I burst out laughing each time she says, "Oh, just be quiet." John,
like, what did she want? Why are you calling me? So you can keep quiet?
What does she want, right? And but I think, over time, and actually sometimes that's a testament of not giving up on a relationship too soon, because she was probably thinking, this kid is boring. But in time, I learned to speak. And then in time, I learned to even, how do I say this, advocate for myself and say, you know what, I'm the one who called, but you're dominating this conversation. And now it's really who talks more on the phone. But it's kind of story.
Because you know what, I was used to you calling and keeping quiet. So then I started just talking. And I think the other thing I think that happened is that I'm quiet most of the time, and I stick to myself most of the time. But when I do talk to certain individuals or people that I talk to a lot, because I'm quiet all the time, then I offload on them the time that I get to talk to them, type of thing. So I think that's what was starting to happen, where you would call me and I would be quiet probably the whole week, type of thing. And then from nowhere, oh my God, guess what happened? Blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, but I called to tell you my story.
And then it would be a dump truck. But that's a friendship that has spanned over. I mean, obviously, you know, it wasn't always smooth sailing, but I think even
No.
started in my early 20s. And I can honestly say that I don't know if you remember, most of you, I don't know, for those who have followed, you know, the Madeira, Tyler Perry's, I guess, you know, Madeira, whatever, series of movies. And there's a very good example, I think, that he uses there where he likens relationships to a tree, right? So you have leaves, you have branches, I could be wrong, and then you have roots. So maybe I've missed a step there. But, you know, I can say, you know, Ropa has been, you know, I would classify Ropa as a roots type of relationship. You know, like I'm saying, you know, things have not been smooth sailing, but
oh yeah, we've had falling outs.
We've had falling outs. But I think when you know the quality of a person, the qualities that a person has, it's hard for you to forget or just to walk away. And so I'm fortunate to say, you know, that I've had a good friendship in Ropa. I think Ropa is a really good friend. And so that's why I wanted to start with that. And I also feel you've been there for me in times, like in some of my, how do I say this? Like, you know, during times when I was struggling with something, and I mean, something was pretty recent. And it's funny how the universe or the creator at times puts the right people in your path at times when he knows you're going to be struggling with something, right? And for me, I think you've been that, especially this past year, 2021. You know, I think you've been that, and I appreciate that. And so obviously with Ropa, you know, it's someone that I met in my 20s, but I'd also like to talk about, I guess, I never really invested in friendships. And for me to be able to be a good friend to Ropa, she might disagree, but it was also teachings that came from another friend. And, you know, that is someone that I've known since I came to Canada. And her philosophy is when she makes a friend, it's a friend for life. And I think from her, I actually really learned how to be a friend, how to nurture friendships. Because I think sometimes we put a lot of effort into romantic relationships, but our friends are always there for us. And I think those are sometimes the constants in our lives when romantic relationships do come and go. But I remember her saying, you know, when she makes a friend, you know, she makes a friend for life. And I've seen, she won't want me to mention her name because she's very private, but I've seen her reliability and consistency over the course of time. And when I think of Ropa and I think of, you know, my other friend I've been friends with for well over, is it 20 years now? I was, yeah, I'd say I've been lucky when it comes to friendships. And because I have such I have such good quality with Ropa, and my other friend who I was friends, I'm still friends with her, but I think she laid the foundation for friendship in my adult years, so to speak. For me to be essentially a good friend to Ropa, I don't use the word friend loosely. And so that's something that I would like to throw back at you. How do you define a friendship? Like, what's your definition of defining someone as your friend?
Okay, I want to laugh because I used to use the word loosely, to be honest. Like, the word friendship to me was, okay, we met, we got along, we're friends, right? And I would treat that person the same way I would treat anyone else that's my friend, even though I had really, really close relationships with other people. But like you're saying, I've been fortunate in friendships, right? With you, I consider you like a really close friend, and I feel the same way about you. That, you know, where it's like you've been there for me, and I feel like we support each other. We come from a place of no judgment, right? Which is huge. So I've been fortunate with a few people who've actually considered me a friend the same way I considered them a friend. And then also I've been unfortunate with certain people that I've considered friends that did not consider me a friend in return. So they ended up taking advantage of my friendship, or using whatever they could within my friendship type of thing to, you know, to their advantage. And at the end of the day, I ended up being left wondering and left brokenhearted, because actually friends can break your heart as well, not just lovers, right? So I got brokenhearted and whatever. So now, and then, so we had a talk, and Carnation was like, well, you use the word friendships loosely type of thing or whatever. I'm like, well, we're friends now with so and so. She's now my friend because, you know, this and that, whatever happened. She's like, well, technically that's not friendship. So anyway, I had to kind of go back and think about it and look back at all the friendships that I had and categorize them. And I think that was the problem. I wasn't putting people in categories. To me, friendship was kind of like a whatever, though they were core people that I knew they were my people type of thing, but everybody was more. So to go back and to answer your question, what is a friend? I think a friend is somebody that, you know, that you find belonging with, like that you find acceptance and belonging, right? Somebody that you can be yourself around, as well as you feel seen. So basically, you want to be in a friendship where you are seen, you are fulfilled in you know, in that type of in that friendship, where it goes both ways. You can talk to this person, or you can be vulnerable around this person. You can be vulnerable, you can, you know, there's consistency in terms of, you know, the time spent, the, you know, you can trust this person because this person is consistent in who they are to you and in their behavior, in their, you know, in everything that they do. And you're also like consistent to them. I think that's how I would define friendship. There's probably a few things I missed, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I think that aspect of acceptance and a sense of belonging is huge. I mean, we might have younger viewers here, or, you know, we have, you know, sisters with kids who are teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when you're a teenager, you are struggling to fit in, right? And I think at some point, due to struggling to fit in, sometimes you're around and you're trying to, or you're square and you're trying to fit yourself into a round social group that you don't necessarily fit into. And that can have devastating consequences. And I think that just comes from the need to be accepted, right? And so if you're in a friendship with someone and you don't feel accepted and you feel like you have to act differently, or your values do not align, then I would not use the word friendship. And bearing in mind, though, that you can't be close and chummy with everyone. And I like what you brought up about categorization. There are some people who are fun to be around, right?
Yeah.
Someone who likes going out and going to parties, or I don't know, going to the club or what have you. There are people who are fun to do stuff like that with, but that's likely not the person who you're going to call up on if you're in trouble, or if you need a heart-to-heart talk. They might be, but if they don't fit, I guess, that bill for you, don't fault them. Perhaps their function in your life is just to be an acquaintance. And, you know, and sometimes there are people who are good at discussing ideas with, but those are not the type of people who will necessarily fit your soul. So I think people come into our life for a reason, and it's a bit naive or too reactive to classify everyone as a friend. And actually what I have learned to do is, it might seem a bit, how do I say this, regimented, but when I'm getting to know someone, because I mean, I've moved to different parts of the country, and in moving, you also need to build a new social circle. And so when I meet people, I've kind of, you know, had this, I have established, I guess, a probation period where I'm trying to figure out what this person is like and whether our values align. And then once I've done that assessment, I can say, okay, this is an acquaintance, and this one can potentially be a really good friend. Because recently, I mean, I moved to a different place and I couldn't connect with anyone just because of the neighborhood I was living in and the area I was living with. And I ended up meeting someone who I thought would be a good friend. And I got excited. I guess I was vulnerable. And I was really excited about this person. But within, I guess, the 3 months of getting to know that particular person, I noticed that they were, without even realizing, they were competing with me. And I'm thinking, well, where's this competition coming from? We're on different pathways in life. We have different priorities. All I want from you is friendship. And I realized, like, you know, everything was about, you know, them. They didn't respect my time. They didn't respect my values. They tried to make me feel bad about my choices. And thankfully, I guess we're still trying to get to know each other. And I knew that this person wouldn't be good in my life. There's nothing in this relationship. And that's a relationship that I cut off, and it never matured into a relationship. And as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about guys as well. We've all gone through this as women at some point, where you meet a guy and you're excited and he hasn't labeled you as his girlfriend, but you label yourself as his girlfriend. And then you have an expectation of something, it doesn't come through. And then he says to you, wait a minute, I never said we're official, right? So, I mean, with guys, they have a way of, I don't know, kind of scrutinizing you before they give you that title. I feel as women as well, you know, because I don't know whether it's just me, Ropa, but I think friendships have the potential to really damage you if they're toxic, right? And so you should protect your boundaries really well and really sift through who you actually consider a friend.
You should. And I think I've said this before, you choose your friends the same way you choose your lovers, right? With care. And I like that you brought up the, you know, how guys do it, but then, you know what, guys do that too sometimes in terms, as a way of manipulating, right? So it depends on the kind of guy. He might say, wait a minute, we never talked about, you know, us going official type of thing, but he's been taking liberties with you. He's been, you know, getting stuff that a boyfriend would get, and he's been demanding stuff, you bastard. Anyway, so my whole thing is, if you are not sure that you guys are, you know, exclusive or whatever you want in that relationship, if you're not sure about it, he should not be coming over to, you know, to sleep over or trying to hug you and kiss you like a girlfriend or whatever, if he does not consider you as a girlfriend. Because first of all, he's blocking you from other guys, because people see you together and people think you are together. So he's blocked you from meeting somebody else while he's reaping the benefits of, you know, girlfriend stuff when he's not. Anyway, I know I'm going on a tangent. We're not talking about that. But I just thought, since we mentioned it,
yeah,
don't assume what has not been, confirmed type of thing. So even in friendships, if somebody does not consider you as their friend, don't assume that, they're your friend type of thing. Because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, it goes both ways, right? Both people need to acknowledge the friendship for it to actually be a proper friendship. Or am I wrong?
No, actually, I do agree. And, in what you said as well, I latched onto the word manipulation, and perhaps the way I do things, I wanted to clarify the way that I do things, that it's not when I meet someone and I feel like we have a potential connection, I take the time of getting to know them. I'm a real friend, right? And then I also measure their temperature. If they're not reciprocating, or if I feel like, this person is going to hurt me, or they're toxic, or they're competing with me, I don't change what I'm giving them in that time I'm getting to know them. But once I've made my assessment and I've written my report, so to speak, then they either
then you dial it back.
Yeah, they either become an acquaintance or, someone you casually know, and they don't become part of my inner circle. Because we have to realize that not everyone comes into your life to become that root type of person. Someone come, into your life as a leaf and maybe show me how to do my eyebrows. Universe, send me someone to show me how to do my eyebrows, right? So that person can come for that sole purpose. Or someone can come and help you maybe organize how you do stuff better, right? So people don't necessarily come into our life to become friends. Sometimes we have to kind of assess, well, where do they fit in my life? It reminds me of my nephew, he's 3. If he goes to the playground or he goes to someone's house and he finds someone his age that he plays with, or even when we take him like to a play center in the mall or what have you, he ends up, if he connects with someone, he says, oh, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. But I remember his mom giving him some life lessons and saying, Zaya, not everyone is your best friend, right? So I think even for adults, not everyone is your friend. People have different functions within our life. I read something that was, I don't know if I should have laughed. Maybe it's more heartbreaking. And
so I was just going to say, sorry, before you read it, I was just going to say a frenemy is real as well. It's a real thing. So like you're saying, not everyone is your friend. Sometimes they might be a frenemy. You gotta watch out for that. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Oh, that's okay. So I saw this, it was on Twitter. But anyway, it says a one-sided friendship. So it reads, I was 10 when my teacher asked us to write a short story about our best friend. I looked at mine and smiled. I then wrote everything I knew about him. Once we were done writing, the teacher asked for volunteers to read our stories out loud. My best friend went first. I was not. Right? So we look at things differently. And I think it's really important for us to be able to measure the temperature in a relationship for you to determine where you fit in, because you're not everyone's favorite color. You're not everyone's, cup of tea, right? So sometimes take the ego out of that and don't assume that everyone wants to be buddy with you. So
yeah, that's true. And also I was listening to a TED talk, and the lady was saying, right now we know a lot of people. We know more people than people used to know back in the day, and we're friends with a lot of people, but we are the most loneliest people right now. We're lonely because we haven't learned to build those relationships, right? So everybody is a friend, but then there are people that you are intimate with. They're called frientimacy, like kind of like, people that you're intimate, where you can be vulnerable, where you can be, yourself, where you can, be positive, be, consistent with. But it starts off from here when you meet somebody, right? Trying to bring my hands up here. Okay, so It starts off from here when you meet somebody, right? That's when you start to get to know a person, and then you build that consistency with that person. You come with your positivity, then you build it up to probably being vulnerable, and then you get to a point where it's kind of like almost like a pyramid. At the bottom here, there's positivity, right? Because you gravitate to people who are positive, who are fun, who are whatever. That's how you get to know people. Okay, I want to get to know this person. And then there's consistency. You're creating memories, the time spent. That's where you also build trust, because you trust things that are predictable, things that are consistent, right? And then you can be vulnerable with this person. You can, talk about anything. You've got whatever you're going through and whatever, you can talk to them, and they hear you, they see you, right? So then at the top, that's where you got like the frientimacy, right? Where you've built that relationship. So let's say you and me, if we never talk for 2 months, when we come back, it's gonna be as if we never left, because we've built that, right, triangle type of thing. But a lot of times we as people don't know and don't learn how to build relationships, like to build proper relationships that will bring us to that point where we're not just people with so many friends, but lonely at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I also found out, and I'm pretty sure everybody can attest to this, people who are lonely or people who don't have friendships die premature deaths.
Yeah.
And they say it's kind of like the same as, smoking 15 cigarettes a day or whatever, because it takes a toll on your heart. It takes a toll on you don't have anything to build you up or to bring you out of, let's say, depression or any illness. If you are alone and you're lonely, it's gonna most likely kill you faster than if you had friends and family or loved ones to actually, pull you through, get you out of it. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh no, actually, that's I've seen that working in healthcare, and just lately I've been interacting with a lot of seniors and more in a social setting, and they keep on saying, well, you know what, all my friends are dying off, or I've lost a lot of connections, and that sometimes is what takes them. It's not a physical illness. Well, actually, a heartbreak or loneliness can actually induce physical symptoms, and that sometimes can lead to death, right? And so yeah, you're very right about that. At the same time too, I also remember something that was said to me by someone I consider, I guess, my adoptive mother. And Ropa, hopefully you can put a link to that TED Talk. That's a really good resource in terms of, I guess, building our own relationships.
Oh yeah, I can, yeah.
I remember her saying
she was talking about 3 requirements of all healthy friendships. So I'll send that to, I'll put a link on it. I'll try and remember. Yeah.
Okay. So that I consider my adopted mother, and she said to me that as you grow older, it's really important to nurture your friendships, because it becomes harder for you to make friends when you grow older. So those relationships that you have right now, well, that was maybe 8 years ago, are really important for you to nurture. And as a result of that, I think I was someone who struggled with staying in touch when I leave a particular area. But because of that one advice, I've been able to do that. There's a saying in my language, and I think it applies to friendships as well. I'll say it in my language, and then I'll say it, very paraphrase it, I guess, in English. It says, "Hukama igasha unozadziswa nekudya." Essentially, what it means is, for any relationship, or even whether you're relatives or your friends, there has to be reciprocity, right? So you can't just say, oh, you're friends and it's birthdays, you don't do anything, you don't take each other out, you don't even host each other in your homes weighs the relationship. There has to be reciprocity, not just sharing of stories, not just sharing of ideas, but remembering anniversaries, remembering birthdays, taking your friend out for lunch, one day with no intention of that person reciprocating. And that's what builds, and that's how you nurture relationships. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to have a relationship as close as, it's always stuck in my mind. I remember I read once about the friendship between Jonathan and David. Robert, do you remember ever reading about the friendship between Jonathan and David? It's in a book called Samuel, for those who read the Bible. And Jonathan was such a good friend that even though he knew that David was the one who was going to take over the throne, that he, as the son of a king, had the rightful ownership to take over, he still cherished this friendship with David and went above and beyond. And I think I remember reading that it's been over a decade, and it really stuck in my mind. And it made me evaluate my own friendships, that am I sacrificial in relationships? Am I sacrificial in friendships? Because sometimes a friendship can be about, well, what can I get? Oh, okay, they got me this for my birthday, so I'm going to get them something less. Or I'm going to, it's so easy sometimes to be calculating in a friendship. But for Jonathan, I guess maybe he was over the top. I don't know if I can match that, but
I don't know, the way I look at it, I feel like Jonathan knew it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? You know how let's say somebody can come with a business idea and be like, hey, let's do this together. What do you think? Right away, if it's for you or if it's not for you, right? So maybe that leadership position or that kingship or whatever wasn't for him. He probably, saw his life going a different direction, and he wasn't, malicious, or he didn't think anything, towards David. He could have been like, oh, this is my birthright, I gotta fight for this. Okay, an arrow is gonna, let's kill David, because he had opportunities to kill David if he wanted, right? They were friends, and he even hid him in some field or whatever it was. So I think even if you know that this is for you or whatever, there's no need to block anybody. Let's not talk about Jonathan, David, or whatever. Let's just talk about life in general. Mm-hmm. When you understand that there's enough for everybody, there's enough to go around, there's enough space for both of you to advance in a specific field, there's enough space for both of you to achieve. There's no reason to block somebody. There's no reason to be jealous of someone's achievements, because your achievements are not my achievements. My achievements are my own achievements, right? The only thing I can do is be happy for you and support you in any way I can, and vice versa, right? The problem comes where, that's why I think it's not really friendship, right? The problem comes where a person feels, oh, you have this red cap. Instead of going to go get their own red cap, they want the one you have, that specific one, as if that's the only one in this whole world that you're holding. You know what I mean? So I think it's narrow-mindedness, and it's people who are just too lazy to go do their own thing so they can be celebrated for doing their own thing. They want to block you. They want you to always be in their shadow. They want you to always walk a step behind them so they can feel better about themselves and feel important. That's not a friend. That's somebody to cut off and to never talk to again.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows anyone's full potential, right? Like you've got, for example, Oprah and Gail. They've been friends for a really long time. They started off in TV, back in the day, that's how they met, right? Oprah being Oprah did her thing. Gail being Gail did her thing, right? She achieved her stuff in her own right. Oprah achieved her stuff in her own right, but they were all supportive of each other, right? But then imagine if Gail tried to block Oprah and all that kind of stuff, they probably wouldn't be friends by now, right now. And at the same time, Oprah's path is Oprah's path. Gail's path is Gail's path. Soon as people realize and understand that, then they can be proper friends without any malice or anything like that, where it's like, okay, you know, you're going this path, and if I've passed by the place that you're passing by, I can help you with it because I've been there. But I don't even need to block anybody because you're gonna reach your full potential on your own.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the thing where people are short-sighted. They look at, oh, this person is surpassing me. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, you're probably not a good friend if you're thinking, let's block this one because they're trying to get to a certain place.
Yeah, no, those are really good points. It's funny when you mentioned Oprah and Gail. I mean, I've never really read the intimate details of their friendship, but a friendship can't last that long if there's competition and there's malice. You know, going back to the example of a red cap, when you're thinking, well, you can get another red cap, what I thought of was a rainbow. You can get a blue cap, you know, you can get, I don't know, a yellow bonnet. It doesn't have to be a red cap. Like you're saying, a red cap is someone else's pathway, and that cap looks better on that person than it would on you. And so I think it's also a lack of vision, because if your purpose is always undermining someone you consider your friend when they're trying to achieve, you know, certain things, then it means that you don't have a pathway for yourself either, right? And speaking of friendships, because this happens, well, it happens in both genders. I like, it's something that you posted. Actually, no, you sent me an image, and I was busy that day and I never commented on that image, but it's also an example of friendship and having your sister's back. That if your friend's boyfriend or your friend's husband, you know, makes a pass at you, it's not something to put a notch on your self-esteem that, oh, you know, he finds me more attractive.
Yeah.
Like, nip it in the bud, you know, call him out on it, because that's how we keep each other as, like, that's how we protect each other's back as sisters, right? And I think that was really funny, Ropa. It was, oh, I found your man in my DMs or something.
It's like
yeah, you know, this belongs to you. I found it in my DM. So that's actually, you know, one thing. I don't think you become, you know, we were supposed to protect each other's boundaries. So sometimes it's not just protecting someone's emotional boundary, it's also protecting someone's, I guess, territory, so to speak. So if you find, you know, someone is breaching that boundary, if it's your partner, if it's your friend's partner, you know, call them out on it, because at the end of the day, your friendship is much more important.
Oh yeah, check that right away and get that sorted right away. So that, because I think the reason why people do that, cheating partners do that, is because nobody says. He comes over here and sneaks what you call it, a slap on the butt or whatever it is, and you'd be like, you know, and check it right away. Like, seriously, if you're gonna cut off that hand, freaking cut it off, so that that person knows not to mess with you because you are the friend. You find a lot of, like, you know, situations happen, and then people have a falling out because of partners. And you have a good friend, but then, you know, you bask in the sunshine of their gaze and their attention and forget that you have a friend. That's not right.
Yeah, that's not that's not right. As sisters, we should not even conceive of doing that, and realizing that men, not all men, but, you know, there are men who like variety and they're always looking for the newest thing on the horizon. So you might be the newest thing right now, but trust me, there is someone else that he'll come and he will give attention to. And in the meantime, you've jeopardized a friendship. But speaking of partners, whether they're, okay, actually, this is one that's random, and then I'll go to my actual question. Is there kind of a time limit or age cutoff for calling someone your boyfriend? It sounds, or is it a term?
So what do you say, my man friend, after it's a certain age?
Do you say partner? And lover sounds like you're having some sort of an affair. I've been struggling with that term. Do you introduce your boyfriend?
I've been known to call my boyfriend a boy toy. Guys, this is my boy toy. This is his girl toy. You know what? I think it depends on two people what you decide. You know, you could call each other partner if you're common law. Maybe you've decided you don't want to get married, but you want to be together, type of thing. So I don't know. I interchange them a lot. I can say partner, I can say, but then partner is, you know, you don't just give a boyfriend the term partner if they haven't earned it, to be honest. But there might be a time limit. I think it's all about also building relationships and getting to a certain level with a person. Then you can kind of call them, okay, this is my partner, or this is my, you know, my person, type of thing. It's kind of, you know, the test of time and kind of being refined in the fire, type of thing, that will get you to a point where you can actually say, this is my partner, this is kind of like my ride or die.
Yeah, so okay.
So I don't know what the time limit is. I think it's dependent on the historical data. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I guess my question was going to be, when we talk about friendships, also, you know, we talked about friendships among sisters, you know, between sisters. I'm also curious about friendships with your boyfriend or your partner or your husband. How do you cultivate that friendship? And does your partner even need to be your friend? What's your opinion on
that? For me, definitely has to be my friend. You can't be vulnerable with somebody that you're not friends with. You can't tell them certain things that, you know, if you're not comfortable with them, type of thing. So I feel like they have to be a friend. They have to be somebody that, you know, it's a different kind of friendship, obviously, because you share more than just, you know, platonic friendship type of thing. But that person definitely, I think, has to be a friend.
Okay, and how do you, when I look back, I don't
think. What do you think though? Wait, before we go there, what do you think? Does that person have to be a friend or not a friend? Or, you know?
It's important that they be a friend because relationships evolve over time. And I think in the times when, you know, you don't feel like doing candles, you know, there are no flowers. When the honeymoon phase passes and you're actually just doing life with someone, there needs to be a friendship. And I think for me, what I wanted to, where I wanted to go with this was, I can't recall a relationship that I've started where I've been friends first with someone, right? And sometimes I think, okay, is that perhaps a better way of doing it? Or if you've never been in that situation, you know, some of our sisters are married or they're in relationships already that didn't start as friendship. Because some people have stories, oh, we're friends for years and then something clicked, or we're friends for 2 years and then we decided, oh, you know what, we have a lot in common, why don't we date? And I don't think I have a story like that. So for those who get into a relationship with someone and it wasn't based on friendship, it was just based on attraction and you really liked each other, and things progressed quickly and you became boyfriend and girlfriend without ever being friends, how do you establish a friendship if that's been your pathway, I guess?
I'm trying to think. I actually have a history of being friends with someone first before we became, we started dating. And then when it ended, we stayed friends because there was that understanding, right? Because sometimes you could mistake a friendship for something more than it should be, and then you realize, okay, you know what, I think we're better off as friends, type of thing, or whatever. In terms of meeting somebody, because people now online date and whatever, and then you get to meet somebody, I think you start off from the beginning. You can become friends with that, but I feel like you need to create memories with this person, do a lot more stuff that you probably would do with somebody that is your friend, include, I mean, kind of like balance it, obviously, but do a lot more stuff, be there for them and all this, and then that can kind of create a friendship type of thing. But at the end of the day, I'm not a professional in this thing, so I think I'll throw that question back at you, Carnation. How would you become friends with this person?
For me, I think it's something probably that I've learned in my 30s. How do you build? I think you build a friendship with someone by taking an interest in what they enjoy doing, right? And so at the end of the day, I guess, I'm saying, sometimes people come into your life and they teach you, and those people don't necessarily stay in your life, but they teach you certain things. When you talked about acceptance and feeling seen and being supported, and, someone having consideration for you and not competing, if you do those with someone who's a platonic friend, I think those same requirements should be what builds a friendship within a romantic context. And I think some people, because maybe I've been one of those people that say, okay, I'm in a relationship with this person, but we didn't start off as friends. And so how do you cultivate that friendship? So those things that I mentioned already, but also taking an interest, because sometimes maybe your person might be into cars, or your person might be into old architecture type of buildings, and you're thinking, it's not really my thing. But I think it's just taking an interest to learn where their passion comes from, and then for them to reciprocate as well, right? Because it's like, for instance, I'll give you an instance. For instance, one evening, I guess, in a particular relationship, I really wanted to finish a series that I was watching, but this person wanted to play board games, and the immature Carnation in me said, no, board games are boring. I want to finish this series. It's far more interesting. And then I looked at how eager this person was to play board games, and I said, okay, you know what? Be mature about this. Maybe give them 2 games. Mm-hmm. And I gave them 2 games. We played for an hour and they were happy. My inner voice remained in me, because that's me being mature. And then after that, we're able to go and watch the show. So by so doing, you compromise, and you were able, I guess, to cater to someone else's needs and not just your own. So it's reciprocity. It goes back to reciprocity, right?
And fulfilling that person. That person was fulfilled because you gave them what they needed at the time. Yeah. Right? They wanted to play games. It's not a big deal, obviously, but at the end of the day, you gave them fulfillment. Okay, fine. I got my feel of what I needed. I'm fine now. Okay, you want to watch all the series that you want to watch? Let's watch all of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I think it just goes both ways. I think it goes to even friendship as well, right? Mm-hmm. There are times where, let's say with your friend, you want to talk about, a relationship. And
I
then
have a good one once you're done. Yeah, go ahead.
and then your other friend wants to talk about finances or business or whatever it is, right? So it's a matter of like listening to each other, getting that fulfillment, and make that person, people feeling like they've been heard, that they've been seen. And Oprah says that a lot. She's like, of all the interviews that she has done, there's always that one thing that people always ask: did I do good? Did you hear me? Did you see me?
Mm-hmm.
If you can fulfill all those things, if you can hear somebody, if you can see them, then that will be good. You won't have too many issues, obviously.
Within a friendship, yeah. No, that's good. And speaking of interests, you have to give me props for this. I've become better, but Ropa Fadzo enjoys taking pictures. He's a picture person.
Yes.
And one point I wasn't. And each time I'd go somewhere, I would tense up already because I know I'm going to be asked to take 1,500 pictures.
I know. And she'll try to put a cap on the pictures. Okay, we're going to take 3 pictures. And then after that, that's it. I'm like, there's that scenery, and then there's that scenery. Then we have to take pictures. We have to create memories, because I have a thing about creating.
But I remember when we started, first of all, I used to cringe. Mm-hmm. And I came to a point where I put a cap on the pictures. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, well, you know what, this is something my friend enjoys doing. And it is about creating memories, because, I think for me, the thing was being self-conscious about taking pictures. And then I realized, I think like most of us do that. Wait a minute, that picture I took 5 years ago that I thought was awful, I actually looked really, really good. And you'll never look as young as you do right now. And so that's what I've, learned to do, because it's something that she enjoys, taking pictures. I've also learned to accommodate her and show interest in that, right? And I know, for instance, she's saying, well, when she goes to a place like to visit, she just wants to relax. And maybe I want to see every, nook and cranny or whatever.
Nook and cranny, yeah.
To go to Vancouver on a road trip. So I'll take pictures, and then maybe I'll take her to a museum and she will compromise with me, right? So it's about compromise. And, I think, as we're coming to a close on this discussion, Ropa, that really resonated with me: acceptance, and someone feeling seen, and someone being able to be vulnerable. Because if a person doesn't feel seen by you or accepted, they won't be vulnerable. And that goes for a friendship, and it also goes for a friendship within a romantic relationship. And if we can't get those things to feel fulfilled, guess what? We go elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So,
and then we've got our guard up, we've got our walls and everything. Mm-hmm. So just to say, I don't hate going to the museums. I don't hate going to go see things. I just feel if I'm on a vacation, because sometimes my job can be stressful or can be whatever. When I leave, I just want to go, just relax, just chill. I'm more a nature person. I'll go into nature, go into, hiking and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I do enjoy when it's something that's closely related to me, like, when we, not, to me per se type of thing. Remember when we went to go see, what's that place where it got burnt?
Oh, Lytton?
Lytton. We went to go see Lytton. It was kind of like, oh my God, I gotta see this. What's going on? It was interesting to see it, and just seeing the devastation. You get to put yourself in people's shoes, and you understand and you feel for them, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was so close to home. It made sense. Things like that. But let's say we go to Brazil and you say, oh, let's go through the favelas and let's go take a look at this. Oh, this is where such and such a thing happened or whatever. I'm not saying I don't empathize, right? But I just don't relate to it the same way I would relate to a situation in Lytton. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why I would say, I would rather go to like a beach. Let's go relax for a little bit. I'm on vacation. I don't want to cry about nothing. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I do empathize.
Empathize.
Yeah.
Good. Any, I guess, I don't know if you wanted to say anything else or any closing words of wisdom.
Closing words of wisdom. I just wanted to say, and it took me a really, really long time to realize this. Build, learn how to build those relationships, right? Let them not just be superficial. Every relationship starts off, at the bottom. Learn how to build them and get them to that point. So that at least that way you are not going to have, fleeting friendships type of thing. And I was gonna say something, but at the same time, I'll leave it for next time when we talk about friendships, because it's kind of like a story or whatever that I wanted to mention. But long story short, just a brief. There are certain friends that will say certain things and that are not filtered in public or something, and it makes you look bad. Make sure those people are out of your life. Cut those people out, because personal branding is very important, and you want the type of friends that will help uplift your personal branding the way that you would want to be seen as well. So it's all connected in a way. It's all connected. The type of friends that you have, your personal branding and everything. That's why they say, show me your friend and I'll show you who you are, type of thing. So you have to be really conscious of that. You have to be deliberate in the type of friends that you keep in your life, and at the same time, know yourself, know who you are, so that you can choose better according to who you are as a person and what works for you. So I think that's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So for me, I think my closing words are on nurturing relationships, like friendships and reciprocity. And I was actually thinking that I like the way my phone says, when I look through the people on my phone, it says contacts. I wish Facebook had said contacts as well. It's just my, words of wisdom is evaluate the people that you have given that title, because friendship is if you look at its, definitional requirements, even in the dictionary or how we have defined it, not everyone meets that. So learn to categorize friends and realize that not everyone who comes into your life is a friend, and you need to learn how to categorize people. And once you find the roots type of people, of friends, nurture them. Relationships are about give and take. And even within a relationship with the partner, with the boyfriend, build that friendship. And people want to be accepted, people want to be seen. And when those two requirements are met, then they're able to be vulnerable with you. So yeah, so that's my
and
closing.
Sorry, just to add on top of that, if somebody is vulnerable with you, be responsible with that, with that responsibility, because it's not something that just people just decide to be vulnerable with you. You can't take advantage of that situation. You have to be responsible with it as well.
Yeah.
And respect it.
Respect it, yeah. So thank you, ladies, for joining us, and thank you for your continued support. If you enjoyed this discussion, like, share, and we look forward to you joining us next week. Also, if you have ideas for topics, we welcome those as well. And hoping you have a good, safe, and fulfilling week, and be the kind of friend you want someone else to be a friend to you. All righty. On that, have a good evening and take care.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, ladies.